Around 17 years ago, I had a summer retail job where I was stocking coffee mugs with a coworker. She asked, "Why don't they make coffee cups for left-handed people?" Without a word, I rotated one of the cups 180 degrees. Last I heard, she'd been promoted to assistant manager in that department. After watching a 3D movie, someone said, "That was incredible. I wish the real world were in 3D too." A girl in my class once questioned why farms exist since she gets her food from the grocery store. The teacher looked deeply disappointed, and everyone else wondered how she had managed to make it to 8th grade. Masks are useless. That's why we were told not to wear them initially. Now they want us to use them so we'll get less oxygen, making us easier to control. Why are there deer crossing signs? It's way too dangerous for deer to cross roads. Someone once declared that the spork is the devil's utensil because it combines the masculine fork with the feminine spoon, supposedly blurring gender roles. Why don't vegans eat fish? Fish aren't animals. During an 8th grade geography lesson, if tsunamis are such a problem for Japanese people, why don't they just hide behind the Great Wall of China? While watching Star Wars in high school, a girl asked, "When did this happen?" Thinking she meant when the movie was made, I replied, "In the 70s. She clarified, "No, the space war. When did we have a space war?" My friend and I nearly lost it. Someone genuinely believed that Japan was the capital city of Australia. When I pointed out that genuinely modest people don't brag about their humility, a coworker replied, "But if I don't tell people I'm modest, how will they know?" My 22-year-old girlfriend once noticed while walking under streetlights, "We have 2 shadows. I think the second one only shows up at night." I had to explain what shadows are and how they depend on light sources. She looked visibly strained trying to process it. In a microbiology class, someone said, "Can't we just wipe out all bacteria and viruses so no one ever gets sick?" This was in microbiology *. A person once tried convincing me that snakes don't have bones. When I showed them pictures of snake skeletons, they said, "Those are ribs, not bones." During a live school broadcast, a prom court member was asked, "If you could adopt a child from a developing country, which one would you pick and why?" They replied, "Alaska, because it's really cold there." I joked about replacing the Easter Bunny with a platypus since platypuses lay eggs. Someone overheard and insisted, "No, rabbits do lay eggs." A 2-minute argument ensued before they finally conceded, only to angrily poll coworkers to see if anyone agreed with them. To my knowledge, no one did. On a flight, my sister panicked and asked if she could open a window because she felt too warm. A guy sitting nearby found it hilarious and couldn't stop laughing. A customer refused to wear a mask and insisted they were immune to COVID because they worked at a COVID clinic. We offered curbside service for their safety and ours. A colleague saw me eating tomatoes for lunch and commented, "Doesn't all that sugar in tomatoes harm you?" She said this while eating McDonald's. My coworker genuinely thought Willy Wonka was a real person and wondered how much he earned from selling nerds and gobstoppers. friend tried to convince me that reindeer weren't real animals and were entirely mythical. We live in Australia, but still. Math isn't automatically true just because it's written in a book. This came from a college student. Someone claimed chickens don't have brains. Not that they're dumb, but that they literally lack brains. A guy argued that combining 2 bottles of 2% milk would create 4% milk. He justified it by saying, "If my half-black friend and I, also half-black, had a baby, the child would be fully black." This same person also asked if the Queen was Canada's president. As a veterinarian, I once had the owner of a pregnant 3-legged dog ask if the puppies would be born with 3 legs or 4. "Is it just me, or do meteors always seem to land in craters?" asked the smartest guy in my class. A Canadian once asked me, an Englishman, how I managed to learn English. During lunch at my old job, my co-worker said, "Obviously, the moon landings never happened." I replied, "That's awkward because I bounced lasers off the reflectors left there while studying physics in university." After a pause, he added, "There are many ways the mirrors could have gotten there. Maybe aliens dropped them off." He believes in extraterrestrials, but not the moon landings, and he's a manager at a big company. A girl once told me I couldn't be Vietnamese because, according to her, Vietnam wasn't a country but just a war. This happened in college, unfortunately. When I was about 13, I told a friend that a liger, a crossbreed of a lion and a tiger, was real. He responded, "You're an idiot. Tigers are just female lions." We asked his mother to settle the argument, and she took his side. A friend of mine believed that women were like chickens. Once a month, they sat on the toilet all day to lay an egg. It's been proven that if you hit the ground in a dream where you're falling, you'll die in your sleep. Really? If someone dies in their sleep, how could anyone possibly know what they were dreaming about? I work at a hotel. A guest once asked why there were no fireworks or 4th of July parades in town. We were in Australia. Masks are harmful because we shouldn't be inhaling our own carbon monoxide. Someone claimed the moon is better than the sun because it lights up the night, while the sun just shines during the day when it's already bright outside. My ex-boyfriend, who's from California, once asked if the 4th of July was on the 14th or 15th. In class, a girl was confused about how a flight from the US to Russia could be short since, on the world map, the US is on the far left and Russia is on the far right. The teacher told her to look at the map again. She insisted, "Yeah, they're so far apart." After a pause, the teacher clarified, "The world is round, not flat like a map." It's not cheating if you don't have feelings for the other person. How do they decide which moon to put up? Before the Great American Eclipse, a co-worker overheard us talking about it and said, "You guys don't actually believe in that stuff, do you?" Thinking he misunderstood, I assumed he thought we were discussing mysticism. But no, he continued, "Don't you realize the moon would melt if it touched the sun? That's why the eclipse can't be real." After that, I thought humanity might need a fresh start. Here's one for you. I once told a friend I thought she might have a drinking problem and should seek help. She visited a counselor and proudly told me later, "I'm not an alcoholic. I have a substance abuse disorder." The substance? Alcohol. China is its own continent because the people there are called Chinese. My response, well, we're called Oklahomans. Did I miss the memo where we became a continent? Masks are for weaklings, said a friend of my mom 3 weeks ago. That same person is now in intensive care. In 8th grade, a girl asked completely seriously, how did people breathe before electricity existed? If you're an atheist, you're not allowed to use the Roman calendar because Christians created it. Once I said, I don't want to put the bag of aquatic snails into the fish tank. They might drown. That was me. My past self was not very bright. A friend once told me he wasn't too worried about birth control because, according to him, a woman could only get pregnant if both partners climaxed simultaneously. His girlfriend was pregnant 3 months later. A teacher once told us you couldn't walk to the front of a plane because it was moving faster than a person could walk.